At the Army Painter, we always wondered what inspired Orktober. We believe it was September. If you hadn't noticed, we kicked off Orktober with a WAAAGH of a promotion with Orky bundles all over the armypainter.com for all different shades of green from our War Paints Air, Speed Paint, and War Paints Fanatic ranges, and rumor has it there are even some sneaky purple bundles in there for stealthy Orksises. Since orcs aren't real, we can't jump into one of their brains to find out how to paint one using these clever hobby bundles, but we can jump into the mind of Mengel. Tyler is one of our marketing specialists and a proud member of our studio team. His distinct Evie Mengel style is both approachable and aspirational, making this the perfect tutorial no matter if you're a grot orderly level painter or Painboy tier. So let's tune in. He's thinned down a bit of Warpaint's Fanatic green skin. You can always save time at this step for your larger army projects and begin with a coat of color primer green skin. But Tyler is a traditionalist and he started with a matte primer, and I'm thankful he did because it shows off really well the amazing coverage of this Fanatic formulation.
Alright, so I'm gonna start testing on a leg. Always smart, just to make sure it looks the way you want it. If you need to thin it at all, I think that looks pretty good. So I'm just gonna use it straight from the pot.
And this, ladies and gentlemen, is why Tyler is such a pro. He's testing before tackling the entire model. Try it on the lower, less prominent area first to check the viscosity and coverage, and thin more if you like. This time it worked perfectly right out of the bottle. Apply your green tone all over the skin, work it over, playing around to help it move over the raised details and into the recesses to help define the details and shadows. Now, Tyler has a familiar style, and no, I'm not talking about the way he holds his brush. Bazinga. I'm talking about his Evie Mengel approach. It's familiar because it follows traditional mini painting methods, but with his own touch. I guess that's why we call it the mind of Mengel. What he's doing here is touching up the base color of green skin. I call this a base tone highlight. Because the wash gently darkens down the model, while you're tidying with your base coat, you can also do a bit of blending to help develop some simple initial volumes during this stage. Tyler is going for a subtle first highlight by mixing in some wild green from the Vibrant Greens triad. He could have used Eternal Hunt from that flexible triad, but Tyler is a good boy and he's using only the paints found inside the bundle, which you can order today at thearmypainter.com. Next, he'll continue with wild green in a higher, more focused fashion, with the focus primarily being the raised details and highest points on the musculature of this very fit orc doctor.
Orcs have pretty craggy faces, which makes them great for stark highlights like this, because you can really easily see where their features are.
I agree. Orcs are some of the best minis out there to learn volume control and highlight placement.
Wow.
Yeah, buddy. The WAAAGH has been declared and we're using some pure red thinned down with some clean water. Some more paint stabilizer here is really great too, and he's going to work this around the elbows, knuckles, scars, and the facial features to add a bit of liveliness to this green skin. After that glaze is finished, tidy up those highlights again with your wild green, rinse and repeat essentially. Now for the great Mengel's next trick, a custom mix of ancient stone from the bundle and wild green for a very refined highlight. Now, if you're one of the crazy ones out there that has the entire Warpaint's Fanatic range, first off, wow, amazing, and thank you. But if you wanted, you could probably substitute necrotic flesh at this stage and get a familiar result.
Skin is done.
Well done, Tyler. Now, Strap Gray from the Warpaint's historical range is a sleeper color that you need in your arsenal today. It's reminiscent of a Payne's Gray for the art majors out there. For those that didn't go to art school, it's a deep bluish gray that is super versatile. It makes for a great base color for blacks before adding a wash, which is exactly what Tyler is doing here with the dark tone wash, a black wash from the Fanatic range. Next, with Strap Gray and a mix of Brigade Gray, you can substitute with Uniform Gray if you've got it. Use your favorite highlighting brush to highlight the black, just one, and you're done. Oak Brown is employed for some straps and bags. A simple, clean base coat is all you need here. Now, using some of that pure red from earlier, thin to your preferred base coat consistency. Use this to base coat the loincloth, the lens, and the squig. If you feel so called, a second thin coat could ensure super smooth coverage. Mix in some of that oak brown to your red to base coat this. I mean, it's like a squig squirrel thing, like a squiggle. I don't know. If there's any orc fans in the chat that care to correct me if you're right, find me at Adepticon. I'll buy you a bottle of Gilly Deuce speed paint. Sound good? Moving on, Tyler's using a mix of the stone and brown to base coat some fur and other fabrics before washing it all down with his Swiss Army knife shade strong skin shade. This reddish brown wash is an all-star all-arounder over skin tones, browns, grays, even metals. Actually, it's a great wash to use for Space Wolf armor. Give it a try and let us know what you think at home. And speaking of wolves, wonder where the paint boss got this pelt he's sporting. Tyler's applying a simple overbrush, kind of like a dry brush, but more paint left on the brush, if that makes sense. We do make fun of Stefan in an upcoming Infinity tutorial for using a regiment brush to dry brush, but the distinction is that Tyler is overbrushing, so I can justify it. And Tyler sent me a Christmas card last year, so. Kidding aside, Tyler's going to follow that up with another aggressive highlight of Ancient Stone.
Alright, now I'm going to highlight the leather. I'm pulling from outside the bundle. I'm going to use fur brown. If you want to stick within the bundle, you can just use Ancient Stone mixed in with the oak brown to lighten that up. But you can pull from outside the bundle if you have them.
Wait, Tyler, good boy. I thought we had a deal. I thought you were sticking to what was in the bundle.
Actually, scratch that. Scratch that. I'm not using fur brown.
Oh, okay. All right. He is a good boy.
I'm going to use leather brown.
Wait, leather brown's not in this bundle. Tyler, what are you doing?
Same thing, though. One sec.
I guess we lied. Tyler is not a good boy, and he's breaking his rule of only using the paints from the bundle, but at the Army Painter, truth is there are no rules, just paint. So we'll allow it. So what are we doing with this non-bundle color, Tyler?
And I'm just being a little jaggedy with the highlights because this is leather. So it's not nice and smooth. And it also helps that you don't have to be nice and smooth then.
Cool. I really love a good scratchy leather, and he's right. Grabbing that leather brown was a good call. Wait. He's still using the fur brown? Keeping with the theme of no rules, I guess, let's just use it to paint this creature thing. He's using yet another paint from outside the bundle. This time it's Angelic Red. Now, if you'd like to play by the rules at home after buying the bundle, mix a bit of Ancient Stone into your pure red for this highlight.
I'm actually going to show on the squig, I'll show the pure red mixed in with Ancient Stone to show you a different look, and also just to give it a slightly different look than the cloth.
I'm starting to feel like Michael Scott from the Office Dinner Party episode.
Snip, snap, snip, snap, snip, snap.
But this is actually nice so that you can see the similarities. So for those of you that want it all, you can choose whatever paints are best for you. If you like to mix, we support that too. Paint your way.
I think that's the red done. So you can see I did the Angelic Red on there to give it more of an orangey look. And this I did the Ancient Stone mixed in. If you want to stick with the bundle, it's a little bit paler and lighter.
So is this what the mind of Mengel is like?
Yeah, boy.
Use some Ancient Stone to base coat the nails and teeth across the miniature. Thin your paints for smooth coverage on these tiny shiners, and apply a shade with strong tone. Give it a moment to dry, maybe leave the camera recording for 15 minutes while Danny is logging tape because you want to get a color that's not in the bundle. And by the time you're back, it'll be perfect to apply that subtle base tone highlight once again of Ancient Stone. Focus on the tips, leaving some of that brown grime near the base for that sheeny gingivitis look. Then it's time to tackle the true metallic metals on this paint boss with a base coat of gunmetal. Tyler thins his metallics with a bit of water, and you can see how smooth they apply.
If you get some on the skin, you can just tidy up, but obviously it's easier if you just don't.
That's pro tip there, Tyler. Thanks. Take your time and go ahead to introduce the shiny metallic all over the metallic bits on the miniature. Once finished and dry, apply dark tone to all of those metal areas. This dark brown wash is great for oily metallic finishes. When dry, use plate mail metal to highlight all of the metallics. Now, I know I've joked a lot about Tyler. He is simply one of the cleanest true metallic metal painters there is. So sit back with me, watch, learn, and admire. Right, now he's going back with that strong tone, this time to almost apply a dirty filter, pulling and stippling this into the joints to reinforce that oily effect, which he of course builds on with his favorite strong skin shade next. Now we're going to base coat the giant pressure tank on this Pain Boy's back with Evil Chrome, a beautiful burnished copper metallic.
The Evil Chrome. Weird name. This isn't chrome at all.
I just said...
Why is it evil? What did it do? Is it just misunderstood chrome? Confused chrome?
Well, he actually makes a pretty good point, and I can't remember. That's why we have practical naming convention, which can be found across our Warpaints Fanatic and Speed Paint ranges. This is a clever concept that allows us to have our fun with the paint names, but keep color selection accessible for our hobbyists out there. Of course, once that layer of confused chrome is dry, we're going back to strong skin shade to shade down that evil chrome. Once dry, use a mix of Evil Chrome and plate mail metal to gently highlight the copper bits. Now we're moving to matte black. Tyler is going to base coat some black details on this miniature. This is where you really actually don't want to paint outside the lines if you can avoid it, because you'll have to redo all of that oily, weathered layers on the metallics. So work tight, take your time, and hold your breath. And breathe out, and grab some strap gray to highlight the black bits. Followed up with a mix of brigade gray for some specular highlights, and then a base coat of the teeth of this banner effigy thing with brigade gray. And if you want to get fancy, you can freehand some checkers too. You know, I love checkers, and I believe it's not as difficult as you may think.
Before I go to do the teeth, I'm going to cut back in to the checkers with black. This is why it's so easy for orcs. So just get some black, and we're going to tidy up and add some chipping and stuff too. Make it a little less clean white. So like here, we can get rid of this line. Adding chipping also helps hide any wobbly edges or irregular shapes, because it breaks up all the clean geometry. It's more realistic looking too, especially for an orc.
You took the words right out of my mouth. Use some thin down strong tone to add some shading to the details and rivets, and tidy up those edges with some matte white. Tyler's going to paint the cables with a mix of pure red and matte black. Now, if you have some Blanche Berry laying around at home, that could work in a pinch too here. I'm going to add a bit more pure red to the mix and begin focusing those red highlights on the cables, the lenses, and this tank window here, making it look like it's got some oozing red stuff in there, probably blood. He is a pain boy. Follow that with pure red, so just the pure red. Next, use some angelic red, or of course your mix of pure red and ivory stone, to push that red glare even further. Now Tyler's going to apply some tiny white dots to the lenses and add some reflective streaks for a bit of fun.
Now I'm going to add the fresh rust to various areas. I'm going to water it down quite a bit, and I'm going to be sparing, but you can do as much or as little as you want, how rusty you want your orc to be. It's better to start light though and add more if you want it.
Now he's absolutely right, because it's especially difficult to remove it once it's applied if you've gone a bit too heavy, or to cover up this rust effect, because it does have these really cool tiny texture particles in it to mimic the texture of dried rust. That's been another fun Warpaints Fanatic tech fact. Tyler's using a bit of our basing material and desert yellow for a base coat, which he will dry brush with ancient stone. Pop on some Battlefield's tufts to that base that fit the scheme, paint the rim, and now it's time for the turntable. On behalf of Tyler, our studio painter, Danny, your videographer, and everyone else at the Army Painter, we wish you a very orky Orktober. You can see Tyler's Ork and more orcs from our amazing hobbyists at the Army Painter and vote for your favorite on our blog. You should probably bookmark the page and visit it regularly anyways, because it's great for your hobby health. While you're visiting us at thearmypainter.com, you can learn more about these Orktober bundles and the rest of our range of paints and accessories designed to make miniature painting fast, easy, and fun. Also find us at your friendly local game store or preferred online retailer.